UPod Street is an official affiliate of Birdland Sports. Visit birdlandsports.com/UPodStreet, and 10% of your order will go directly to supporting the pod. Use code UPodStreet at checkout, and you'll get 10% taken off your order. Now sit back, relax, and keep that beer cold, because it's on to UPod Street.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to UPod Street. As always, I'm Jimmy Horn, and joining me is Jack Bain. Jack, what's your favorite food from Philadelphia?
From Philadelphia? Dude, all right. So let me lay this on you here. We went to the Mall of Prussia, King of Prussia
Okay.
Mall.
Yeah.
One, that thing's huge.
Yes, I've heard.
Bought a nice bathing suit there. It's
Okay.
fantastic. Got a great deal on it.
Nice.
And then so this is my uncle and I.
Mhm.
We're my colleague in coaching. We go to this like barbecue place outside of the mall.
Okay.
I got a brisket cheesesteak. It was out of this world.
Yeah. Was
I
it
mean,
was
it
it
was
like
what?
was it Cheese Whiz on it, or was it like
No, dude, it was queso on it.
Ooh.
It was queso on it, and it had caramelized onions. It was so good, and we got some mac and cheese too.
Oh, you have to.
Oh, great heavens! It was delightful.
That sounds amazing. I'm jealous.
But yeah, dude, this mall, nuts. I mean,
Yeah.
we probably covered like 20% of it in like an hour and a half.
Wow.
It was insane.
Yeah, I've heard that mall is ridiculous. Gotta
Yeah,
go
it was
someday.
cool. It was cool, but like we were on the side of the mall with all the expensive stores.
Oh, so couldn't afford anything.
So I mean, we went into some of them, not the expensive ones. There's like Under Armour and stuff like that. But yeah,
it sounds like one that you'd have to like plan out like a solid day to get through everything.
probably. And I mean, they even have like Apple Maps on like the map kiosks in there. They give you step by step like directions, like it's on your phone. It's
Oh my god!
It's
so you're literally like having to like have a GPS navigate to the stores.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I mean, I don't know if I could have done it without like finding it on the map, like with this GPS.
Wow.
Swear to God.
Well, that sounds fun, but you know what else is fun, Jack? Some baseball.
Baseball is fun.
Baseball is
most
fun
of the time.
I think we're going to start off this week with once again Jack's notes from around the league.
Okay, let's do it. Tampa Bay Rays is still very good at baseball. Any comments?
Would agree.
Tampa Bay Rays still have not lost 20 games. Only team in the league to not lose 20 games. Although the Texas Rangers are coming for that best record in baseball.
Yeah, we got a piece of them last week.
And they have been laying it on the Seattle Mariners this weekend.
The Mariners, who have been surprisingly mediocre. I think a lot of people picked them to be really good this year after their playoff run last year.
Yeah, one game under 500, and then they got swept by the Rangers this weekend.
They got clobbered by the Yankees too before that, right?
Yeah,
a couple games where the Yankees put up like 12 on them and stuff.
Yeah, they're gonna need to fight for a playoff spot. I mean, it's just the bottom line. Like they're gonna need to turn around. I wonder what they do at the deadline.
That's a good question because I mean, this is they are a really young team, so you don't fully expect them to be in sell mode.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they're also underperforming, in my opinion. I mean, they lost Adam Frazier, and then they couldn't win a game. So you know.
Yeah, it's just a lot of their their veterans from last year are just kind of underperforming.
Do you think because they have such a young team, like a lot of guys were rookies last year? Well, the biggest guy, Julio was a rookie last
Right.
year, obviously. But do you think it's a little bit like a sophomore slump or something like that? Like,
Julio Rodriguez is definitely underperforming his expectations.
right?
No doubt about it. I don't think it's a big deal that he's underperforming.
Well, he's
He's
gonna be
going to come
good.
back from it. Yeah. I mean, Jared Kelnick's overperforming from last year. It's weird, man. Like, Ty France isn't the same as he was last year. Suarez isn't the same. A couple of their arms aren't the same. Robbie Ray is down. I think he's got an injury right now.
Okay.
They just called up Brian Wu, who's a big prospect. He got a clunk of a first outing, though. I think he was 7 runs across 3 innings. Still struck out 5, though. So,
do you feel like, because I wonder this with like the Orioles and stuff too, like did the Mariners go too hard too fast, bringing up as many young guys as possible, and maybe now it's like it's hurting them a little bit to not have that mix of veteran and young guys, or do you think it's just underperformance?
I don't think so. I think it's just guys underperforming that they didn't expect to underperform. I mean, they have a pretty solid lineup still. Like, if you look at on paper, their lineup's real solid.
Right.
I mean, they got across the board. And then they added Teoscar Hernandez, who is really, really streaky. I mean, we know, like, when he was playing in the AL East on the Jays, that he would get hot, and then you wouldn't want to throw a fastball to him because he would take it 420 left center field. But when he's as streaky as he is, and the Mariners are as streaky as they are, I mean, you can't really have that.
Yeah. It's just interesting to look at. Especially that AL West, I feel like with the Astros getting hot, it's starting to.
Dude, I don't even think
other than the
Astros
A's, it's kind of starting to mirror the competitiveness of the AL East.
I don't even think the Astros are the problem in that division, dude. The Texas Rangers are 38-20.
But that's the thing, is like the Rangers are competing when the Astros have dominated for the past 5 years.
It's true.
So,
I mean,
so the fact that
past
you have
8 years, honestly,
two really good teams coming out of that division, and then you have the Angels, who are kind of good.
They're a game above 500.
They're a game above 500, so they're kind of good. You have the Mariners, who should be better than what they are, and then I mean you have the Oakland A's, and that's just a whole other thing. But
yeah, I mean the Angels are trying to make a run at it, man. They're calling up all these young prospects. I think they've called up 5 guys who've made their debut in the last 2 weeks. It could be trying to win now, or they're trying to put their best foot forward for Shohei in a contract year.
I could see that. I am curious for the Angels, what is their number when it comes to, because they said if they are out of it come the trade deadline, Shohei's going on the trade block.
They're going to take calls on Shohei, I think, no matter what. But
yeah, well, you have to. Because if someone's going to offer you the whole farm, you might have to take that.
A team would have to make a deal that the Angels couldn't refuse, and that would be a couple top 100 prospects. And really, the only teams that have that are the Guardians, Dodgers, and I mean, the Dodgers could do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers made them a deal to add. But even the Dodgers are kind of like in a spot where if they bought at the deadline. Actually, no. They've really picked it up in the last couple weeks. So I could see the Dodgers trying to make a deal for Shohei at the deadline.
I could see that. I think the Dodgers are also considered one of the favorites to pick him up in free agency.
They are the favorite.
Yeah.
Like, I think in front of the Angels, honestly.
Yeah, well, if Shohei wants to stay in the same area, but for a team that wins, why not the Dodgers?
So we kind of went backwards with the with the American League, but the Central.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. The Twins are still in first place at 31-29. Royce Lewis, kind of a scary moment for him today as he was running to first base, and the Guardians' first baseman, Roderick Arias, kind of fielded a ball to the right of the bag. He had to pick it, and then just kind of stood straight up like he didn't try and get out of the way, and Royce Lewis hit him and just did kind of a somersault and kind of landed on his neck.
It looked like it
Really
landed on his
scary moment.
face. Like he landed on his face and like bent over like his back basically after landing on his face.
Yeah, just a really scary moment for a guy that's torn his ACL twice in the last 2 years. And Royce Lewis was really, really starting to heat up too. I mean, had
So
a really good
you were
series.
a first baseman, right?
Yes.
So because you were saying you're like what is he doing there? Because on one hand he's fielding the ball, but what is he like? He gets the ball, he gets the out. What should he have done in that after motion to try and somewhat get out of the way? Because I mean, the way he was standing to keep his foot on the bag, it didn't look like he could go anywhere. But he stood straight up, which I understand. I understand what you're saying. Like that standing straight up caused the collision. What should he have done?
Very, very seldomly, I feel that first basemen stay on the bag like he did after any kind of throw. Like usually, you field the ball and you kind of leave the base going towards the pitcher's mound. So I feel like, and he got up and looked at Lewis like running down the baseline. You just don't. I don't know. What are we doing there, Roger Garius? What are we doing?
Fair enough.
So, anyways, the Guardians. They were playing better ball of late. I mean, we saw them in Baltimore kind of hit the cover off the baseball. They are 27-32. A lot of their young guys aren't really producing, but they got Tristan McKenzie back today, who struck out 10 in his debut of 2023. I really like him as pitcher. I'm glad he's back. Sucks that he got hurt. They might trade Shane Bieber at the deadline, man.
That's the rumor mill. Shane Bieber might be on the trade block. Would you go for him?
Do I think the Orioles should get Shane Bieber?
Yeah. Or should they at least make an offer?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he looked so awful against the Orioles last week.
He did. He's having a down season. There was a great list I saw someone made of like, I think it was like an MLB graphic of all the Cy Young contenders last year,
Mm-hmm.
all the finalists, and like what their ERA this year, and there like wasn't a single person that was below like a 4.3 ERA or something. It was interesting, and I can only wonder if the banning of the shift is hitting those guys hard. Like, are those guys that produced? I would love for someone to have a metric on this or something to show like, oh yeah, they're really good at producing line balls that go this direction, and when you have the shift on, it's perfect for their pitching style. But without the shift, now these guys are getting hit all over the field, sort of thing. I don't know. I'd just be curious like what metric that would be.
That's Shane Bieber's game now that he got hurt and his velo's down. He's a ground ball guy, hard hit, make the fielders do something. So I wouldn't be surprised if between that and then, some guys adjusting to the pitch clock to Alek Manoah, run some polls, pal. Get in shape. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Bieber's ERA got kind of kicked up from that.
Mm-hmm.
If I were the Orioles, right? This is a year rental or a half a year rental. And usually after those rentals, those guys try to sign with the team that they went to. I like Shane Bieber as a pitcher. I don't know how much he has left in the tank after he got hurt because he's more of a finesse guy now. He's got a spot stuff, and he's doing it well. He's doing it at a high level. I think a long-term contract for him would be kind of foolish for the Orioles. I would love to see what the caliber of prospect would be. I think it would definitely be either Cowser or Westberg.
That's a high price.
Yeah, and then
we're going to talk about them later in the show.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too much into it, but it's one of those, especially when he's on a down year. How much are you willing to pay?
Right.
And for an Orioles team that could use some solidifying of the rotation, as we'll talk about a little bit later too, maybe it's worth it. I don't know.
Yeah, I see the pros. I see the cons. If I were playing GM here, I personally wouldn't sign Bieber. I would bank on Grayson figuring it out in triple. Yeah, that's all I got. We got to move here. Let's get to the NL. Atlanta Braves, still hot, 35-24 on top of the NL East. Miami Marlins keeping pace at 32-28. They had a weird series against the A's. Every game just was weird. Yuri Perez is doing well, though, so that's cool. New York Mets, 30-30. Still at 500. Got swept over the weekend. Philadelphia Phillies, 27-32. Panic button. The cover of the panic button is lifted, and the finger is ready. That is another situation of guys who performed last year not performing this year.
Trey Turner, the big signing.
God, yeah, that
Trey
sucks.
Turner has done nothing this year.
I feel bad for him, man. He's one of my favorite
He
players.
left it out all out on the field during the WBC, and we haven't seen it return.
I don't know what he's got to do to light the intensity back up. It just sucks, man. He's awesome to watch. A lot of old contracts there too. A lot of veteran guys, and their farm is pretty depleted.
Yeah, because they kind of went for it all last year. I feel like.
Yeah, and all the prospects that they have right now are either hurt or underperforming. So.
Yeah, might be a long road to recovery after that Super Bowl hangover or World Series hangover. Sorry, Eagles fan. I'm still reeling from the Super Bowl too.
Yeah, they could. That's one of those teams that kind of did the same thing that the Orioles did, and hopefully our young ace will be our young ace come 2023. Yeah. And Andrew Painter is hurt. Hate to see guys get hurt. Can't plan around injuries, but yeah, can't bank on 22, 23-year-olds. And I mean, Andrew Painter's not even 21 yet.
Oh, wow. So he's a young guy.
Yeah. So there you go. Washington Nationals, bottom, but not as bad as the A's. There's a win. In the NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers, 32-27. They've won 3 in a row to get the Orioles come Tuesday. So they play tomorrow.
To break that streak.
Yeah, so the Brewers play tomorrow, and the Orioles
have a travel.
So
yeah,
hopefully, bodes well for us. Pittsburgh Pirates keeping pace. They won 5 in a row, 31-27, half a game out of the division lead. Cincinnati Reds, who have a really big young core. Ellie De La Cruz is knocking on the door. Unfortunately, have lost 4 in a row, but don't count them out yet at 26-33. 5.5 games out of a wild card spot. Chicago Cubs, 25-32, with an even run differential. Been a while since we've seen an even run differential. But they're at
they like to keep it even.
Mid.
Not too good, not too bad.
They like to keep it mid. St. Louis Cardinals are in last place. Still, 3 of their last 10. They have won.
Yeah, they I think if you talked about the Phillies having their finger on the panic button, I think St. Louis has like they're pressing it and then pressing it again and again, going like, what are we doing?
Finger is hard down on the panic button in St. Louis right now. The LA Dodgers atop of the NL West at 35-24. No Syndergaard, man. Sucks really bad. You saw what he said earlier in the week?
No.
He said that he would give away his hypothetical firstborn child to go back to what he was in his prime.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, he was just saying like how he's the worst on the team right now. He can't give anything to the team. Then he said that, dude, it sucks. It sucks so bad.
Yeah, that you never want to see a guy like that down on himself.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to feel for him, man. He was so good back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully the baseball gods give him something. But he's still in first place team. So we'll see. But the Arizona Diamondbacks,
the Snakes,
half a game out of first place.
They're lingering.
35-25. My man Corbin Carroll still cutting up over there. My ticket for Arizona Diamondbacks over win total is looking great right now. Love it.
As is your probably your ticket for Baltimore Orioles over win total. Because it was what, 74? I placed a bet on that.
I think I took the O's at 78 and I took the Diamondbacks at 74.
There you go. There you go.
So the San Francisco Giants fell to under 500 with their loss today, 29-30. They are 6 games out of first place and 2.5 out of a wild card. Padres, 27-31. If we're talking about panic buttons for teams, I think that the cover's still on the panic button for the Padres. I think the cover's still on. Fingers, it's getting close to pulling the cover off, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do at the deadline. Again, another team whose system is pretty depleted, but their bats are starting to heat up. Juan Soto definitely coming back into his true form. And then
a team with Soto, Tatis, and Machado. Granted, Machado's hurt right now.
Yeah.
They're not going to stay down for long.
No.
And so I don't know. They've dug themselves a pretty good hole to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they can come out of it to snatch a playoff spot, but I expect them to end the year at a respectable level.
They're only 4 games out of the wild card spot. So
there you go. So they haven't even dug themselves that big of a hole.
Yeah, I think the goal for them before the All-Star break is be a couple games above 500. I mean, that's a whole month. A ton can happen in a whole month. June's kind of a month where you see what teams are made of. You see if they're real or not.
You're starting to get the wear and tear. As we're seeing, injuries start to mount. Once you get into June, you start to get the warm weather, and guys start hitting the way they do for most of the season with that warm weather. Yeah. June, you're right. June is the month where you really see like who's for real and who just had a hot start.
Right. Yep.
But all right, Jack. So those are the notes from around the league.
Pretty lengthy notes,
right?
Man. Let's get into
lengthy notes. We had a lot to talk about. We gotta go fast through this weekly recap.
Some of the games we will
some of the games we will just go very fast. They're very easy to summarize. I'm going to let you take game 1 of the Cleveland series, though, because you were there, right?
I was there.
All right, tell us about it.
Took the light rail down there, by the way. Took the light rail down on Old Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And very nice light rail experience.
Good.
I enjoyed myself in the light rail. Got down there quick.
Public transportation. Do your thing.
Yep. Got in the ballpark. Got this hat.
It's good. It's good looking hat.
Really like it. Really
good looking hat,
man. I really do. The more that I'm around these jerseys, the more I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is it. So I'm feeling great, man. Getting to the stadium. Got some chicken tenders. Went for the tenders again.
Gotta love some tendies.
And I sat down in my seat and I start watching this game. First 4 innings, nothing happening. Tyler Wells is chucking. Logan Allen, who's one of the Guardians' top pitching prospects, was shoving. Watched him warm up. It was awesome. And he shoved a bit more than Tyler Wells did in the end. Tyler Wells let up 1 run over 6 innings. He pitched great, man. Struck out 7. He's looking really good, as we'll talk about later. But Cieno Perez came in with some just like weak stuff. He came in the 7th inning and just kind of got crushed. 4 hits, 4 runs. 2 of them were earned. But yeah, man, just everything was catching the plate. He didn't walk anybody. He didn't strike anybody out. Just a lot of balls in play, a lot of extra base hits. He didn't look good. Logan Allen really, really made the Orioles bats look silly. 7 innings, 3 hits, struck out 10. I mean, yeah, he's a great pitching prospect, but we got to do better than that. That's all there is.
And I mean, it can be. We're unfortunately going to use this phrase a lot. Well, not a lot this week, but twice this week. If you don't score runs, you can't win.
Yeah, you need to score to win baseball games. Yeah, but the rest of the bullpen looked good, man. Mike Baumann looked good after a couple rough outings earlier the past week. Michael Givens looked fine in that game. I mean, he walked the guy, but A lot of loud contact outs, and then Keegan Aiken looked good too, man. It was a painful game. And then if it couldn't get any worse, Cedric Mullins running to first base pulls his groin.
That's like that was literally like worst case scenario too.
Yeah, man.
Was a Cedric Mullins injury. I mean, in my opinion, he was going towards an all-star bid.
Mm-hmm.
Could still get it, but I think this injury is going to knock him out of getting into the all-star game. I mean, he was kind of, we talked about it at the beginning of the year. Of course, Adley, has a lot of leadership on this team, but I think, especially for the outfield and for a lot of this team, the leader on the team has been Cedric Mullins, and to lose him was literally worst case scenario, I think. We'll see how many they are thankfully talking about it as far as weeks and not months, and we'll kind of get into that with what the Orioles are doing to replace him. But that you said the whole stadium. I remember you saying this to me. You said that felt like the whole stadium just like went silent when he got hurt.
Yeah, vibes were down. I mean, I remember I was just sitting there like head in my hands and just like, come on, dude, are you kidding me? It sucks. But I mean, he's still there. He's still around, right? So his leadership skills are still there. He's going to do as much as he can from the dugout.
And he'll be back.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He'll be back. So Orioles lose that one 5-0. Tuesday we had the Splash Zone event, the UPod Street Twitter meetup. We had a solid about 20 people there. For good times, good vibes. It was nice to meet some people that you interact with online and stuff. I got some food at the stadium as well that day, Jack. I know you weren't there because you were sick. But I tried the Maryland dog, which is a hot dog with crab dip and Old Bay potato crisps on top. I would give that a solid 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. It was pretty good. It was pretty tasty.
Was it all right? So would you call it worth the money that you spent on it?
So it was $12 for the hot dog. And then I had my membership discount. Right. And I think that was like, God, I want to say maybe $4 more than what a normal hot dog costs. My only disappointment with it is I got the hot dog and then I got 2 beers with it, right? I can buy 2 beers for yourself. So I bought 2 beers with it. So they hand me the hot dog, they hand me the 2 beers, and I said, hey, do you have any food trays so I can carry all this? No food trays.
Well, if the food trays are the worst thing that happened to you at the ballpark,
But I'm like, come on, food trays. You don't have any. Like, I'm sitting there, I have my hot dog in a hand, and I'm like carrying my beers like this, all awkward. I was like, come on, you have to have food trays. They make biodegradable, like recyclable food trays. You're telling me the Orioles don't have any food trays at their stands? Come on.
You get off my lawn, you kids.
Okay. Sorry, I was just carrying all this stuff by myself. It was difficult. Okay.
Talk about the baseball game, man.
Baseball game was great. Orioles got off to an early 7-0 lead in the first 2 innings. A lot of offense. Saw a Anthony Santander triple, which is a rarity, which was really exciting. Kyle Gibson was shoving for the first 5 innings, got into some trouble in the 6th, where he would end up giving up 3 runs. The Guardians did make it a little bit of a game. It ended up being 8-5. I say that it happened because as we're watching the game, Ashley told me she wanted to see Felix Bautista, and at that point it was like 7-1, and I was like, no, we don't want to see Felix Bautista right now. We don't want to see him. And she's like, no, I want to see him. And so then it became a save situation, and we saw Bautista. But Bautista shoved. He looked great. He is really where maybe a month ago he would make you really nervous when he came into games. I feel like he's at the point where he comes in and you're like, all right, It's over. Like, he's not making me nervous anymore. He was always doing well. It just he would get a couple guys on base and was looking a little wild. Now he's not looking like that, and I love it. So Orioles won that 8-5. Game 3. I don't even know if we want to talk about Game 3. This was just ugly. And imagine thinking, oh, we're not going to carry a fifth starter, and it going any better than it did.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about it earlier in the week, we were just like, I would rather just have Grayson Rodriguez pitch. It couldn't be worse than what we saw on Wednesday afternoon.
And that was the big takeaway, is like, was Grayson Rodriguez pitching really going to be worse than what ended up happening? I think the Guardians didn't pitch well either. I mean, the Orioles put up 8 runs.
No, very, very uncharacteristic start from both Cal Quantrill in the Tuesday game, and then very, very uncharacteristic start for Shane Bieber, who seemed to just not be able to locate, like we were talking before the show, or I mean earlier when we were talking about trading. I mean, he's a finesse guy, and he was not finessing. I mean, 2 runs in the first, and then a 5 spot in the second, kind of ruined his outing. And I mean, great for us, obviously, but yeah, he just didn't look good. And
great for us until our pitchers got on the mound.
Right, you score 5 runs in the first 3 innings, you're up 5-3 going into the 4th inning. You gotta lock it down. I mean, that's just what you did. And for a very, very solid bullpen that the Orioles have. Yeah, very solid. I'm out on CNO Perez.
Yeah, you were talking about Syndergaard earlier, saying like, "Oh, I would give up my firstborn to be the player I used to be." What would you give up to see the CNO Perez of last year?
I mean,
I give up. I don't know. I think I give up my firstborn for it, but I would definitely give up something to see the CNO Perez of 2022 instead of the CNO Perez of 2023.
As an Orioles fan, I would probably pay $100 to instantly have CNO Perez back. As a baseball fan, I would pay a lot more money to see Syndergaard back to his prime. Dude, he was gross in New York. Like Perez, 2/3 of an inning, 2 earned, 3 hits. Just every ball that was hit was just.
He just can't get anyone out. He just can't seem to get anyone out. And
and if it could, when it seemed like it couldn't get any worse, Michael Givens trots into the game.
Yeah.
And he literally could not get anybody out.
Literally didn't get anyone out. Yeah.
Mike Baumann had to come in after Givens let up 3 hits, 3 earned. Givens cooked. I mean, I don't know.
Well, he's on the IL now.
Oh, that's right. Shoulder inflammation.
So he has shoulder inflammation, which could be the root cause of all this, but he's not looking great.
Dude, I mean, you saw what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You're either going to get 3 loud contact outs and nobody, and a walk, and that's it. Or you're going to see Michael Givens get the yips, can't get anybody out. I mean, that's the second time he's at a start where it's been like, oh my God, why did we ever sign him?
It's certainly, I think the Orioles are going to keep him till the end of the year and then let him go, because I think he's got a 1-year option after that.
Do you know if it's team or player?
I think it's team option.
Good, because if it's player option, obviously he's going to take it.
I think almost every contract that the Orioles have signed in the past 3 years, if there's an option, it's almost always team option.
Yeah.
Which is probably pretty smart on their end.
No, it's definitely very smart. It's almost like a tryout.
Yeah, exactly. So Orioles lose that 8-12.
Also, I might add, we had the lead again. I want to add this. We had the lead again.
Yeah.
In the later stages of the game.
And
the later stages, the 5th inning.
Yeah.
And then there it all.
That's technically the second half of the game. There's only 9 innings, so.
Yeah, Brian Baker looked good. Danny Coleman looked good. Condolences to the Coleman family. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know what's going on for them, but sorry for their loss because Cologne today did go on the bereavement list. So hope he's well and does all the things that he needs to do.
Yeah.
Orioles had an off day as they traveled to San Francisco. Did you stay up for the night games, Jack?
It was tough, man. It was tough. I caught most of the Friday game, a couple early mornings throughout the weekend, so it was tough to catch most of them. But
yeah, I caught all of Friday. I didn't catch much of last night's.
Yeah, last night was a tough one. I was in bed, like at a fair, reasonable time of 11:15, and I was having trouble keeping the eyes open. But Friday night, man, it was a
good pitcher's duel.
Yeah, definitely a pitcher's duel. Logan Webb was on my list of pitchers I want to see in Baltimore, but unfortunately he was signed long term in San Francisco. Lamont Wade,
after they didn't get Arson Judge, they had to get someone.
Right. Dean Kramer looked fine.
Dean looked about as good as we can expect from Dean nowadays, which is decent. He's got a decent ceiling. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 K. It's not bad. That's take fine. That from Dean any day.
That's a quality start. Yeah. I'd rather have Dean go 6 innings, 5 hits, and let up 2 runs than have him go like 5, 9 hits, 1 run.
Right, exactly.
That's fine.
Yeah. It was a great start from him. The Orioles did put up 2 runs on Webb and then get a 3rd run in the 7th inning on that Gunnar Henderson bomb.
Majestic
absolute bomb. Run. Also, what do you think about this real quick? I didn't realize this. So the Giants have that ticker because in that game, Dean let up the home run. That was the 100th home run into McCovey code.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't realize that ticker is they only count Giants home runs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was the 100th home run into McCovey Cove for the Giants.
I didn't think the Gunners even made it in, though.
Gunners didn't, but Dean let up the 100th one, right?
Yeah.
I forget who it was to, but
Lamont Wade Jr.
Who's a Baltimore kid, right?
Go Crusaders.
I think he's from Maryland.
Yeah, he went to St. Paul's.
Yeah. So it was a big thing. Like they launched streamers and everything for the 100th home run into McCovey Cove, and I didn't realize it was only the 100th Giants home run in McCovey Cove. Imagine if Utah Street we only put plaques for Orioles home runs.
Yeah, I mean it wouldn't be as cool. I think that
right.
They should throw them all on the counter. How many do you think Barry Bonds has out of the 100?
Oh, they said it today. It was 35.
Wow.
Yes, 35 out of the 100. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's insane.
Orioles win that 3-2. Game 2. I'm gonna go quickly through these because we got to move on. Game 2, Alex Cobb in his revenge game against Baltimore. He is still on the Orioles payroll, by the way, for $4 million this year. He looked like a Cy Young pitcher against the Orioles. Yeah. Offense never showed up. Orioles lose that game 4-0. Once again, if you don't score, you can't win.
It's the name of the game. You got to score to win.
Game 3, however, the Orioles offense that was asleep last night showed up. They scored 6 runs in the 3rd inning today. That included, or the game included a Aaron Hicks triple, by the way, an RBI triple. Tyler Wells pitched pretty good, 5.1 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 9 Ks.
Career high
9 Ks. Orioles win 8-3. They get the series win. And that brings us to today. So we've got some pretty important topics to talk about here, Jack. We got about 20 minutes to do it.
Damn. We'll talk about the game
first.
We can talk about the game a little bit. I mean, watching today, DeSclafani, who had a really, really good May, he could not find the strike zone to save his life, and that really showed. I mean, I think he walked in a run and then
Yeah, he
had a
did.
couple. I think he had 3 walks, which is very uncharacteristic for him because he's not a strikeout guy. So you got to keep guys off the base paths for free. And I mean, that 6th spot just kind of just like looking at the broadcast, I listened to it on the radio for a little bit. Sounded like it took the life out of Oracle Park and pretty much the Giants as a whole. And Tyler Wells just being dominant on the mound too. I
Yeah.
think it just seemed like everything was working for him today. Brandon Hyde had nothing but high praise for him after the game. Yeah, overall great win. And then on Friday, I would call that like one of the bigger wins of the season. Big statement win against a really top tier arm in the league. And then Saturday just kind of sucked after making that big statement win, coming out and just seemed flat.
Yeah, just flat the whole time.
Yeah, it just seemed flat. Bradish wasn't sharp, and then Alex Cobb was very sharp, which I mean, good for him. He had a great May, and he seems to be carrying that into June. So good series win though. After last week against the Guardians, really needed this win.
Especially anytime you go on a West Coast trip and take the series win, I think that's a bigger deal than what people really recognize, because anytime you go on a West Coast trip, it takes a lot out of your team. It's very tiring to make those cross-country trips and play a series and do well.
In general, I mean, it's tiring to cross the country and not play professional baseball. So I can't imagine what it's like to have to do that and then play baseball at the highest level possible.
Exactly. So big series win, even bigger, like you mentioned. Orioles now have an off day. Milwaukee, who they are going to, does not have an off day. Could be a chance for the Orioles to get well rested before that series. Well, we have to go back to it, Jack. We have to talk about it, as sad as it is. Cedric Mullins goes down at possibly the worst time for an outfielder in the Orioles organization to go down, because at the same time that he goes on the IL, Colton Cowser is on the IL, and Kyle Stowers also on the IL. And so you're kind of left reeling, wondering, what are the Orioles going to do? And sure enough, Tuesday afternoon, we got the news. Recently DFA'd Yankee Aaron Hicks gets picked up by the Baltimore Orioles.
I get it's a small sample size, very small sample size, but I think that this just kind of shows you what the New York Yankees culture will do to a player. Aaron Hicks is batting 455, 571, 636. It's 1,200 OPS.
In what, 5 games?
Four games. 4 games. Again, very, very small sample size. But this is a guy who just seemed completely cooked in New York. Like, I mean, not even a 4-game stretch like this would happen. He looks comfortable again, like at the plate, like you're seeing Aaron Hicks like you were back before the start of his big contract. He's playing a fine center field. Obviously, like he's not replacing the glove that Cedric Mullins has, nor the bat. But I mean, this will work for the next couple weeks. Look, I was very down on Aaron Hicks when we signed.
As was just about everybody else.
Yeah, like why the hell would we do that? But I'm in, man. If he can keep putting together games like this, yeah, I mean, nothing but good things to say right now.
He got picked up, and I was like, I get it, right? Like the two most likely guys that fill in for Mullins are both hurt.
Right.
We need someone, because like there's been all this talk of like, well, maybe you move Mateo back out to the outfield and Gunnar over to shortstop, and then all this shuffling guys around. It's like, let's get some consistency. Here's a guy that has played the position at the highest level. I mean, as much as we hate him, you don't get much higher than the New York Yankees, right?
Right.
So he's had those high pressure moments. He's been on successful ball clubs. He can at least bridge the gap to get us through until either, if he doesn't perform, maybe when Cowser gets well, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, you bring Cowser up, or all the way through until Mullins' injury is dealt with, and then you figure out what to do with him. Like you said, small sample size, but I don't think you can ask for more than him than what he's given us.
Yeah.
He's walking, which he doesn't tend to walk very much, I don't think, but he's had a couple walks already. He's hustling out there. I think this is an Aaron Hicks with a chip on his shoulder and saying, I've got something to prove. And
Yeah.
you know what? I love that attitude. I
That's
love that
fine.
attitude. Bring it to us. Help our team out with that attitude. When Cedric Mullins comes back, we'll figure out what to do.
Yeah, I mean, if this is just a Band-Aid, right? So expectations are pretty low already. But I mean, we have some guys that are scuffling at the plate, and if this is when Aaron Hicks gets hot, that's like even better. Even like
Yeah.
this could be like one of the better Band-Aids that kind of shifts the momentum that we have that we need to have going into June. Because I mean, Mountcastle's struggling. He's batting sub 240. On the season. Frazier is, he's fine, but he's overperforming, but he's still not doing great. Jorge Mateo's still scuffling. Everybody's starting to cool down, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, and Gunnar left yesterday's game with some lower back soreness. Doesn't sound like enough to go on the IL, but enough where they're feeling like they have to rest him a good bit.
Yeah.
When he was starting to pick it up, right when he was starting to get hot.
Yeah.
So yeah, if Aaron Hicks is going to be hot, I love it. I hope for his sake that the fans, because people were really upset. People were so mad.
Yeah.
When he got signed, I wasn't mad. I was like, do I love it? No, but
what other options?
Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of other options.
Mm-hmm.
And now people are like loving Aaron Hicks. I hope that when he does struggle, because he will. There will be a game where he goes 0 for 4 or something like that. It might be a couple of games where he has some offers. I hope people aren't too hard on him because at the end of the day, you have to see him for what he is. He's here to bridge the gap.
Right.
I wish him all the success in the world while he's here.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier in the week. We were just like trying to shuffle around guys already in the team between injuries, and I think the words Jorge Mateo in the outfield did come out of my mouth at one point.
Yeah.
It wasn't with full confidence, but it was there. I'm glad we didn't do it. Aaron Hicks, I'm in until he proves otherwise.
Right. Speaking of some outfielders, today or yesterday, I should say, was the return of Colton Cowser off of the IL. And in the 2 games, he's doing half games. They're easing him back in, so they're having him play half games. In the 2 half games that he's played since then, he has not skipped a beat. He has gone 4 for 5 with a double, 2 walks, 3 RBIs, and today he hit a monster home run. Meanwhile, earlier in the week, Jordan Westberg hit another leadoff home run. And these are the 2 guys that you kind of feel like are knocking on the door right now for the Orioles, and you start to wonder what's going to happen. Just to give you some numbers, Colton Cowser this year has a 347 average, 8 home runs, 31 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, and a 10.74 on base plus slugging. Meanwhile, Jordan Westberg is a 308 average, 15 home runs, which leads all of AAA and is tied for the lead in all of the minor leagues. 48 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, and a 988 OPS. So, Jack, it's getting to the point where it's do or die. Do you bring these guys up or do you trade them because you're at that moment?
We're talking about guys that would make the team better.
Yeah.
Far and away, the Orioles would get better if we called up either of those guys. And I mean, Adam Frazier's been fine, right?
Yeah.
But if we could plug in Jordan Westberg there, the Orioles would be better.
Right.
I mean, we can trade him if the value's there, but I think that right now, if we called up Jordan Westberg, we would be better.
What about Colton Cowser?
Colton Cowser, same thing. I would rather have Colton Cowser getting reps in right field than Taron Vavra.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Let Santander stay off his feet in DH.
Right. I think I'm 1,000% in on Colton Cowser. I mean, this is our number 1 draft pick from what, 2020, 2021, 2021, I
Something like
think.
that. Yeah.
He's a guy that has raked at every level. I saw him hit home runs when I was at spring training. I mean, a 347 batting average is
338
absurd.
now.
38, he's up there. Okay. He went down a little bit.
But still, an OPS of over 1,000.
That's absurd. And the thing that this number one ranked farm system is lacking is good outfield prospects. We have two that I can think of as far as like big
two that are in
prospects.
the
It's
higher
Kauser and
levels.
Kerstad.
Yeah, two that are in the higher levels. A lot of our top 30 prospects for outfielders are still in low high A.
Right. So this is it's going to come in and make your outfield better, like you said. With Westberg, because he's certainly raking, I just wonder if there are so many infield, both players currently in the organization and prospects coming up. Is it too crowded? I think with Westberg, we're not going to see him before the trade deadline. And here's why. I think that there is a learning curve when you come up to the major leagues. I think Elias is willing to hear offers for Westberg. I think he's going to have that phone ready to go and just listen, like, you want Westberg, what do you want for him? Like, what can I get for him? I don't think he wants to bring him up before the trade deadline, because if that learning curve happens, his value goes down.
Yeah, no doubt. And actually, that's a good point. He's got a K rate of 21% to a walk rate of 10%, where Colton Cowser's got a K rate of 22.5 to a walk rate of 19.2. So where Cowser kind of hedges his K rate with walks, Westberg does not.
Westberg's very much a slugger.
So I could see the growing pains of the major leagues affect Westberg more than Colton Cowser.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. I don't know that Elias will definitely decide to trade him. I just know that if he's going to come up or if he's going to be traded, like, I don't think we're not going to know until the trade deadline, because I don't think he's going to come up before the trade deadline, because I think right now his value is incredibly high. And if Elias can use that to get a great starting pitcher, perhaps, I think he's going to use that. I don't think he's going to bring Westberg up, see him possibly struggle. He could do great when he comes up. He could do great, but that rarely ever happens. I mean, even Adley Rutschman went, the first 25 games without an RBI? He's still a great player.
Yeah.
But, if he had been someone that we were talking about, like, well, maybe we trade Adley Rutschman, his value would have gone down in those first 25 games at the major league. So I just don't think we see Westberg until after the trade deadline, if we see him at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's the gamble of prospects, right? It's kind of like a lottery ticket. Every prospect's a lottery ticket. So you could have a guy in triple like Westberg who's got great, like outside numbers, like 15 home runs and a slug above 600. He could get up to the majors and he could fizzle. So I definitely see both sides to, shopping him at the deadline. And then, like, if the offers aren't good enough, then, call him up in September, see what he's got. He could help you win playoff games down the road.
And something has to happen soon, because we've talked about it privately. Heston Kjerstad has to be on the 40-man by the end of the year.
Correct.
Otherwise, he's Rule 5 eligible, and I guarantee you he would be picked up in a heartbeat.
He would go 1-1 in the Rule 5.
Yeah. So you need to make room at AAA to bring up Kjerstad. So these two guys that are knocking on the door, something has to happen soon, because if it doesn't happen soon, then you don't bring up Kjerstad soon enough to put him at the 40-man by the end of the year, and then you lose him. So it's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen soon.
You got to think about who comes off the books after this year, right? Adam Frazier comes off the books. McCann, I think he's got one more year.
McCann has one more year on his contract. Frazier, I believe, has a team option at the end of the year,
which I doubt the Orioles will pick up.
Probably not.
And I mean, even Frazier is just enough, to get cursed at on the 40 man. Ortiz is on it. Hauser's on it. I think Westberg's on it. Yeah, I would assume Westberg's on it.
Ortiz is another guy that could be shopped around a little bit. The little bit that he's been in the majors, he's done decently well. And let's face it, this organization has no shortage of shortstops. So he's another guy that could be shopped around a little bit. I would not be surprised if he gets traded away.
So Westberg is not.
He's not on the 40 man.
So he got a non-roster invite to spring training.
Okay.
So there would need to be a retroactive.
Is Cowser on the 40 man? I don't think Cowser's on the 40 man either.
So yeah, you need more moves. And honestly, Aaron Hicks is probably going to be one of the first ones to go if they do decide to call up one of these guys.
And you have to wonder, is Jorge Mateo being shopped around a little bit? Is Ramon Arias being shopped around a little bit? I think Jorge Mateo at the end of April was you're probably getting a lot of interested offers. Jorge Mateo at the end of May, probably not. But I think some of those guys are being shopped around a little bit. I talked about Austin Hayes before the season started, possibly being someone that we trade to make room. I don't know. He's got a batting average over 300, I believe, still. So I don't know that you trade Austin Hayes at this point.
I get why like Orioles fans really like Jorge Mateo. I get the plus glove. I get the average to below average bat, I guess. But if Jorge Mateo were
the speed is the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. But if Jorge Mateo, if we were to shop him around and we dealt him, I would be completely content.
I would be sad to see him go because I like his energy. I like him I like his speed. I like his explosive play. But at the end of the day, like, do I expect Jorge Mateo to be our shortstop 2 years from now? No, I don't expect that.
No.
Because the guy I do expect, we got a question in our chat here, Jack, from one Brady, who says, do you think the Orioles even consider calling up Jackson Holliday at some point next season? As some people on Twitter would like.
Twitter.
I would say short answer, probably not. I think Mike Elias has made it very clear that he wants players to get a certain number of reps throughout each level of the minor leagues. I think Jackson Holliday is going to push that belief from Mike Elias a bit because he's absolutely dominating at high A right now.
You want the stat line?
Oh, I'd have to look it up.
I got it right here.
Oh, you got it? Yeah, give me that stat line.
Between both levels this year, 358, 483, 606 makes for a 1,089 OPS. He's got 6 homers, 37 RBIs. He's walked 39 times, the 43 strikeouts, 13 doubles. I mean, kid's a stud, but I will preach this from the mountaintops forever. He is 19 years old. He's a young 19 years old at that. So at this point next year, he will be 20.
Which I mean, to be fair, Manny Machado was 20 when he came up.
You know, if he continues the success like he is now, I would consider it. But I wouldn't set in stone that Jackson Holliday will come up and be dominant when he's 20. Look across the league. Yuri Perez, 20 years old. He's come up. He's been really good for him. But, like, you can look at it all over, like, other 20-year-olds that have come up this year. And I'm blanking on the name of the other one that I'm thinking of. But he struggled. I mean, there's guys that struggle when they're 20 years old. Not everybody can be Ken Griffey Jr., you know?
I think a solid path for Jackson Holliday is going to be Bowie by the end of the year.
You think he's going to start next year?
I think he's in Bowie by the end of the year.
So I think
Bowie to start next year, right? I think AAA by the end of next year. I think he's in Norfolk by the end of next year. And then see what he does in the spring training. What would that be? 2025, 2025 spring training. He'll probably be in AAA to start 2025, and then I could see maybe May or June of 2025. That's when he gets called up.
So if he's a Bowie by the end of the year. He's 19 years old in Bowie.
That's what I think.
He is 2 to 3 years younger than everybody else in AA, by the way.
Right.
If he makes it to Bowie, so like high A to double's like kind of like the checkpoint where it's like, okay, it's starting to get real. Like guys are throwing harder. Like umpires are getting better. Like it's starting to get real. He gets double and he excels there. I think, like you said, you still start him in double. But if he struggles at the end of the year in double, like then Orioles are kicking themselves because they could have kept him in high A and he could have worked on it and have a whole offseason to gear up for double. So I would keep him in high A for the rest of the year. Maybe call him up to double, like for maybe a Bay Sox playoff run after the high A season ends because it ends before double. I don't think he should spend more than a month in double at the end of this year.
Okay.
If he continues. Okay. And then, start him in double next year. And then like you said, get the triple end of the year. That timeline that you laid out, I think was ideal for Jackson Holliday in his progression.
And I think the Orioles, as we've talked about, they have enough talent on the infield that they can bridge the gap until
they
Jackson
have a surplus
Holliday comes up.
They have a surplus of talent.
And so he will be here. But let's not rush the process, guys. Let's not rush him before he's ready. I'm excited that he is performing well. I'm excited to see him continue to perform well. But I'm not like sitting there going like, oh, the Orioles will win the World Series next year if they bring up Jackson Holliday. We're not at that point. The Orioles are doing fine without Jackson Holliday. He is going to be a continuation of the success that the Orioles have already built. That is where the Orioles are good now. And he is part of what will make the Orioles good, 8 years from now, right? So he's part of that process. I'm not saying he's coming up in 8 years, by the way. I'm saying he'll have enough team control that 8 years from now he will be on the Orioles still. But that's what we're doing here. We're not rushing prospects because we want longevity of success, right? So thank you for the question, Brady.
Thanks, Brady. Hope you had a good day at work.
Just a quick note here about our pitching. As we talked about, we had a bullpen day last week that did not go well. Currently, we don't have a nod from the skipper of who the fifth starter in the rotation is. Grayson Rodriguez, after he went down, left that position open. Just a note on Grayson in Norfolk. He pitched on Friday. He went 6 innings pitched, gave up 1 hit, 5 walks, and 6 Ks. So pretty good outing from him in Norfolk. I wouldn't say like, oh, wow, that was a great outing. He's definitely coming back soon. I think he's going to be down there at least for a couple more starts, continuing to work on the stuff that the coaches wanted to work on.
He needs to stay down there.
Well, and that stat line right there, 6 Ks, but 5 walks.
Not good.
A little wild. 1 hit is great. And 6 innings is great. No earned runs is great. But he's getting a little wild. And so don't expect him just to have a couple great outings and come back. He's going out there and doing specific things that trainers want to see from him. But Jack, what do you think we're doing with that 5th rotation spot?
Bruce Zimmerman would be let him go out there. Be a good tryout.
So Zimmerman came up. He did pitch in relief on Saturday. With the off day, theoretically he could get enough rest to start in that 5th rotation spot. I'll be interested. I like Bruce Zimmerman, local guy. Showed glimpses of greatness at the start of last season. Did not end well. But
it's in the tank though, man. Like it's there. It can come back and do it. Give him a shot. What could go? Yeah, it can't be worse than what happened last week.
Well, that's the thing, right? It can't be worse than what happened Wednesday. So it's like, what's the harm at this point?
Yeah.
Like that, anything's better than that. So the bar is super low.
Yeah.
I am a little surprised, and granted, I know they couldn't because of when he went down last. I am a little surprised they're not going for Cole Irvin. But
yeah.
But that's the thing is apparently he couldn't be called back up until June 5th.
Yeah,
So
because he
until
was so
tomorrow.
recently up. Yeah.
So it's possible that Zimmerman goes back down and Irvin goes back up.
I wonder how many more options Zimmerman has. He's been up and down.
He has. I don't know. That's a good question. But yeah, it's got to at least be a starter. We can't do that bullpen game nonsense again because that experiment very abruptly failed.
Bad, really bad. Horrible news for Dylan Tate.
Yeah, 60-day IL.
Yep.
Is that what it is?
Re-injured. The same arm.
Do we see Dylan Tate pitch this year?
No.
I don't think we do either. John Means had an additional injury, not to where his Tommy John was, but he had an additional injury, so his date has been pushed back. Instead of hopefully July, now it's hopefully August. So that's some bad news as well. I mean, it's got to be Irvin, Zimmerman, or Grayson who has to come up and they gotta fill that hole, and they gotta be solid enough that you're not giving up 12 runs every fifth game.
We'll see Grayson again.
We will.
I'm
confident. I'm not saying that
Grayson.
like, oh, Grayson's going to come up and still give up 12 runs. I'm saying he's got a challenge now. Like, this is your challenge. You need to come back up, and you need to be solid enough that we can count on you every fifth game.
All right. So
we do have one more question here.
No, let's wrap with that.
Wrap with that. All right. Looking forward to this week. After the off day tomorrow, the Orioles have 3 games in Milwaukee, and then they come home immediately to a 3-game homestand against Kansas City. I will be at the game on Friday. Jack, you're out of town, I believe. You're not going to any games this week, right?
Yeah, my good man Cooper, he's graduating from high school this coming weekend. The kicker is that they live in New England. So I will not be able to attend any of the home games this week, unfortunately, because I really wanted that Adley bobble.
Can always use your members points, your members rewards points. But I'll be at the game on Friday. Look for the guy in the new U-Pod Street Orioles jersey, by the way, courtesy of one Ashley Pugh. Come up, say hi, share this show with your friends. We are now, Jack, at 695 Twitter followers. We are almost to 700 Twitter followers. So share us, get the word out.
Once we get up to 700, could see another giveaway.
So there's your incentive to follow U-Pod Street on Twitter. If we get to 700 followers, Jack's gonna give away another Orioles baseball card.
His name may or may not start with a G.
Ooh, there's your hint. All the Orioles players whose names start with G. So yeah, make sure you guys like, follow, and share us. Help us get the word out. We want a lot of people to listen to our takes, no matter how good or bad they may be. We hope people are entertained by us. And the best way, oftentimes, that podcasts can grow a following is just word of mouth. So just tell your friends, hey, I got some buds who do a podcast about the Orioles. If you're looking to get into the Orioles, which, as we've said all year, now is the time to get into the Orioles. The Orioles are good now. Now is the time to get into them. So share us with your friends. Have a great week, and I hope that we see everyone.
Your start of June World Series prediction.
Start of June World Series prediction. I would say Braves and Rangers.
Got Rangers and the Snakes, baby.
Rangers and Snakes. Ooh.
If the
Battle of the Deserts.
Diamondbacks can keep the pitching going, they got the offense for it. We'll see. We'll see. Quick plug from my end. I've been having a lot of fun recently with the baseball cards. Been pulling a lot of stuff. Just been opening a lot of packs lately. So I think I'm going to start getting back into the Twitter presence over there. So if you ever find yourself in need of some cards, or just want to talk cards, my baseball card Twitter account is BD Breaks 2. So if you want to give them a follow, I'm going to start putting some more cards up for sale up there. Might try to get some different breaks going on. Recently, I've been opening a lot of Bowman 2023. Been getting some nice pulls. I've been posted on Twitter. Most recently, I actually bought a box from Liz, the hat store. And I got this card right here. This is a Michael Royo out of 99 green refractor Bowman Chrome first autograph. So yeah, definitely got a lot of stuff going on over there in the next coming weeks. So if you're in that neighborhood, give me a follow if you don't mind. Appreciate it.
There you go. For all your baseball cards need, follow Jack. All right. With that being said, everyone have a good week. I'll see you at the yard this weekend. And as always, let's go O's.
The king of.
You've been listening to UPod Street, an Orioles podcast by fans for fans. UPod Street is an official Birdland Sports affiliate. Directly support the pod by purchasing UPod Street or other Orioles merchandise using the link birdlandsports.com/UPod Street. Get 10% off your order when you use the code UPod Street. Follow us on Twitter @UPod Street and @JackBain20. UPod Street is also on Facebook and YouTube, and you can listen to the show on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. On whatever platform you listen, please subscribe, rate the pod, and leave a review. If you leave a review, we may even read it on the show. We'll see you next week, and of course, let's go O's.